Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Got a great show in store for you today, folks. A monumental show at that. Travis Thorpe will be with us here in just a little while. But first, I want to talk to you about one of the most important cases in California state history, probably one of the most important cases in the last decade as far as serial killers go. We're talking the Golden State Killer today. I want to thank Alan Warren for bringing this guest to my attention and bringing this book to my attention. It's a good one, folks. The People versus the Golden State Killer. It's put out by Third State Books. And Thien Ho is my guest. He is the District Attorney of Sacramento County. And he's put out a book that I think is probably one of the most complete books out there about the Golden State Killer. He gives you the entire perspective from investigation to capture to the prosecution of Joseph DeAngelo, who, let's face it, was a complete monster and gave us nothing to help resolve the pain of the victims in this case. Let me tell you a little bit about our district attorney before we bring him in here. Thien Ho is the author of The People versus the Golden State Killer. He was elected district attorney of Sacramento County in 2022, took office in 2023. Over a 25-year legal career, he has prosecuted hundreds of high-profile sexual assault, gang, and homicide cases and served as supervisor of the gang and hate crime unit. In 2017, he received Prosecutor of the Year honors from both the National Asian Pacific Islander Prosecutors Association and the Sacramento DA's office. He is best known for successfully prosecuting Joseph DeAngelo, also known as the Golden State Killer, and the subject of today's discussion. Mr. District Attorney, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's an honor to be on your show. I'm excited to really have this discussion with you about the book, about the case.
It's our honor, sir, here on True Crime Tuesday. I want to talk a little bit before we get to the case. I was enamored with your story and in coming here and having to be immersed into the culture and how you learned how to. First of all, you came here from another country. Can you tell our audience that your upbringing and how you learned? First of all, how you learned English, I thought was amazing.
Absolutely. So I was born in Vietnam, and obviously after the fall of Saigon in 1976, my parents, my little brother and I, we escaped Vietnam on a tiny fishing boat, ran out of gas, ran out of food, ran out of water. We were just drifting in the ocean near death when we were rescued by a merchant ship. I spent 6 months in a refugee camp, and when I arrived in this country, I didn't know a single word of English. I learned how to speak English by watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. 20 years later, graduated from law school, and I just wanted to give back to the country. I became a prosecutor. I've been a prosecutor for, over 25 years. And, in that process, ended with the honor of prosecuting the Golden State Killer.
See, I find that amazing. I'm blown away just by that. I mean, first of all, to learn from Bugs Bunny, I would think, first of all, there's probably a Brooklyn accent there, but you have no Brooklyn accent, so I give you your props there. But you've it's a little joke there. You can laugh. I'll let you.
No.
But just the fact that, reading in the book, and I'll save the story for the book so people can read about it. I mean, really, your father and your mother faced some huge choices just in getting here, in the struggle to get here. It was overwhelming.
If you can imagine for a moment, you started your entire career, you own a house, all your family, your friends are here in this country. And because of political upheaval, because of what have you, you have to give that up. You have to give up your home. You have to give up your job. You probably, say goodbye to your parents knowing that you'll never see them again, or your siblings. And then you risk the life of you and your entire family by getting aboard a fishing boat, traveling across the Pacific Ocean, hoping to land some other place in hopes of obtaining freedom. And then you have to start all over again. Mm-hmm. And so that was really what my parents had to face. And I talk about that in the book. and about the journey that we had to go through to come to what I believe is the best country in the face of the earth. And here you have an immigrant and a refugee who, 40 something years later, prosecuting one of the most notorious serial killer in this country's history. And so it's an honor and a privilege. And it just speaks to the beauty and the essence of the American dream.
Let's get to this point here. And I want to find out how you came across, and tell our audience how you came across this particular case. I know for a while you were kind of hustling and bustling, trying to get to different cases as an up-and-coming lawyer. Tell me how you came across the case of Joseph DeAngelo.
So first of all, I've handled everything from your sex crimes to your gangs, your hate crimes, and your homicide. And I was in homicide at the time. And about 6 years before the Golden State Killer was caught, I was prosecuting my first ever homicide case. And I was traveling out to the crime scene with the lead detective on the case in Rancho Cordova. That's where the crime happened. Rajneet Singh's body was found on New Year's Day, half naked behind a brick wall in the drizzling rain. And so that was my case. And as we're driving out to the crime scene, I see all these bars on all the homes and the apartments and the businesses in Rancho Cordova. And I made a comment about that. And so the detective says, hey, look, I'm on a task force. Everybody who lived here in the 70s, they were afraid of the ear. I said, the ear? Who's the ear? And that's when he started telling me about the East Area Rapist and the crime spree. And I was fascinated. I was fixated about it. He thought that the case, that the ear, the Golden State Killer, was dead. I believe that he was still alive. And I said, you know what? I've never asked for a case in my life because, whatever case is assigned to me, I just handle it. But if you ever find the Golden State Killer, if you ever find the East Area Rapist, I want that case, and I would ask for it. And fast forward 6 years later, we found him, we caught him, and the case hadn't been assigned to anybody. And there's a whole story behind, how I came about getting assigned the case, which I talk about in the book, obviously.
Right.
Did you want me to share that as well with your listeners?
Yeah, if you would, please.
Absolutely. So I walked into the head of homicides. He's in charge of homicides. He files the cases. And so I walked into my supervisor's office. His name is Rod. And I said, Rod, if you're on SEAL Team 6 and you find out that they found Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, you know what you say? He smiled and he looked at me and he says, what do you say? And I leaned in. I said, I want on that helicopter ride. That's what you would say. Rod, and I pointed to the case file of the people versus the Golden State Killer, Joseph DeAngelo. I looked at it and I pointed. I said, Rod, I want this helicopter ride. I got up, I left, didn't say a single word. 2 hours later, I was assigned to prosecute that case and began the process of really absorbing a case of unprecedented scope.
See, Tim, I'll admit, that takes some stones, right? Because there's other prosecutors that want that case, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to show up and show out, right? You've got to go in there. You've got to show some attitude, and you've got to not only attitude, but you've got to show that you're worthy, right? And I know you've gone in, you've hustled, you've prosecuted, you've done your job, and you've shown that you're worthy. But now you got to show that you want it. And you went in there and you showed that you want it. And I think, again, people will read it in the book and they'll see that there was that passion there. And I think that's what got your boss's attention, right?
A case of this magnitude, you have to want it. I mean, you're talking about 13 known murders, upwards of 50 sexual assaults, over 120 burglaries in 11 different counties, up and down the state of California. And the case occurred 40 years ago. So now you have to assemble and put it back together and be able to tell that story again of such volume and such scope. And so you have to want it. It's just so much to take in.
Now, before we get to Joseph DeAngelo and how many different monikers, how many different counties he actually committed these crimes in, and how many different jurisdictions he desecrated. Let's call it what it is. I want to address this with you real quick, Tim, because again, with the many jurisdictions that he went across, you're eventually going to have to cooperate with all of these, even though Sacramento seems to be the center or the origin of where everything comes back to and where he's eventually going to be prosecuted out of. eventually there has to be a super friend, so to speak, that comes together and prosecutes this thing. Everybody has to get along and everybody has to form a consortium, for lack of a better term, right?
Of course.
Okay. So with that, did you realize at the time when you said, I want this case, that it wasn't just going to be you?
Absolutely. You have 11 different counties. You have the DAs, the prosecutors, the crimes in each of those counties. I always imagined that this was going to be a huge prosecution team, kind of like OJ or any of the other big cases. Typically in Sacramento, there's only one attorney assigned to the case, and you rarely ever work with other counties. But we just started doing that just on another case before that, where there were two police officers that were murdered by this particular defendant. But those officers were from two different counties. So on that death penalty case, we had two prosecutors from two counties coming together in Sacramento. So the vision was here for prosecutors from around the state to come and join together to prosecute Joseph DeAngelo. Now, what did it look like in the beginning? We were still trying to figure that out. Where we were going to try the case, we were still trying to figure that out. And in fact, we thought that the case was going to ultimately be tried in Southern California. But it turned out that that wasn't the case, that it ended up being in Sacramento, where we handled the case and where we kept it.
Okay. Let's switch gears here and let's talk a little bit about Joseph DeAngelo himself. Where does he start and how does he start and what is he labeled when he starts these crimes? Now, we could argue, and you do in the book, he starts these crimes relatively young as really a teenager, right?
Yes. So when we caught him, I was tasked, among other things, was to really retrace his entire life from the day he was born in Bath, New York, all the way to when we arrested him, even when he was in custody. What we found out was that Joseph DeAngelo, and this is a fundamental question that we always ask, are monsters, what creates a monster? Is it nature? Or is it nurture? Or is it a combination of both? And, he had experienced some significant trauma as a child, witnessing his sister, his little sister, being sexually assaulted on a military base. And so we knew that he had seen that as a child and experienced that. But we all have choices in our lives. Do we go this way or do we go that way? He chose to go the wrong way. He chose the path of darkness. And even as a teenager, he was beginning to commit crimes, breaking into different homes, peeping toms and watching people do things. He had an insatiable appetite as a young person to be in control. And as he developed in living here in Rancho Cordova in Sacramento, he developed that insatiable appetite for control. And that only lent itself further when he left the military and became a police officer in Visalia. Now with a badge, now with a uniform, now with the law on his side. He felt that the law didn't apply to him. And that's when in Visalia, he became the Visalia Ransacker. But when he was almost caught in Visalia by Officer Bill McGowan on that night in December of 1974, he moved to Sacramento, became a police officer in Sacramento, in Auburn. And that's when the East Area Rapist crime spree started. So then he was known as the East Area Rapist. He moved to the Bay Area in terms of his crime spree, and he was the East Bay Rapist. And then he was fired as a police officer up here, and that's when he started exploring Southern California, and he became the original Nightstalker before Richard Ramirez with the murders in Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Orange County. And when Michelle McNamara wrote her book, she gave him the moniker, the Golden State Killer.
I know you had mentioned a little bit about Michelle McNamara in the book. Tell me where it is you believe her work left off and yours in the police officers and prosecution's work begins.
Well, Michelle McNamara did an amazing job of writing I'll Be Gone in the Dark. But she wrote that book and it was completed. She passed away before he was arrested. So she never got to see Joseph DeAngelo arrest. And so it covers the crime and it covers the criminal and the search for the criminal. And then Paul Holes, my colleague and friend, wrote his book, but it was focus on his technique, which was genetic genealogy, his idea on how to solve the case and some of his other cases. And my book is sort of the trilogy. It's the third book in the trilogy where it covers the investigation, the capture, and the prosecution of the Golden State Killer. In addition to that, my book fills in some of the space where we're focusing really on some of the victims and the law enforcement officers that never gave up their pursuit of DeAngelo, and the victims searched to find their own voices and turn pain into power.
It really is, I think, the most, as you mentioned it's part of the trilogy. I really do believe it. It is the most complete book that people can get on the Golden State Killer, because you do cover from the beginning to the end. You do cover case by case, and I will state this, case by case, the victims from the beginning of his spree to the end. And you do get from some of the survivors that were rape victims, not necessarily murder victims, these victims that came to court, you get actual reactions, you follow through, you get where they are today, you get statements from them, you actually, and I'll give this to you, Thien, you get their rage, you feel their rage, and you feel you get empathy for them. I wanted to be sitting next to them, and not only give them a hug, but want to fight for them as I was reading this book. I mean, I was entwined with this book.
You know, one of the things that always stays with me when I think about the case now is I think about Phyllis. Phyllis came up to me. You know, Phyllis was the first sexual assault victim in Sacramento. And I read her case file. I saw the pictures. I saw the description of the crime and what happened and the impact. And when I was assigned the case and I came to court for the very first time, this woman walks up to me, and she's in her late 50s. She has these thick glasses, gray hair. She reaches out, she shakes my hand, and she says, "Hi, I'm Phyllis. I'm victim number 1. And then later, Chris Pedretti came up. "Hi, I'm Chris. I'm victim number 10. And they had identified themselves by their number in terms of the order of their case and their assault. And I remember Phyllis every single time. She would sit there in the front row, and we would talk before court, and I'd tell her what was going on. One of the issues is that Phyllis was a sexual assault victim. The statute of limitation, which is the period of time in which the district attorney can prosecute a case. For Phyllis, the statute for rape was 3 years back in the 1970s. And the statute had run, it had expired. So we could no longer charge her case. And standing there, looking at her, shaking her hand, it was as if I was reaching across time and space from the 23-year-old that was assaulted now to the 58-something-year-old woman. And I promised her that I would find a way to make sure that her voice would be heard and that she would get justice. And that's why we do what we do. And so when I look at the case and when I wrote the book, it was with Phyllis in the back of my mind. It was with Chris and all the other survivors and the victims that never got to celebrate another Christmas, another holiday, another graduation, another wedding anniversary. And so to me, that was why I wrote the book.
Without spoiling too much about the book, there are proceeds from this book that go towards safe rooms for domestic and sexual abuse victims, safe rooms that they can be interviewed in, because at the time that this monster was committing these crimes, there were no safe interview rooms for victims to go to. It was almost demoralizing for them to be interviewed by police. Some of the stories, Thien, of how some of these victims were interviewed after Joseph DeAngelo would do his thing to them are horrifying.
It's heartbreaking. So Chris, victim number 10, was interviewed by the police in the same place that she'd been assaulted. And so after the case was over, Chris Pedretti and a couple of the other victims, Gay Hardwick, created Phyllis's Garden, a nonprofit called Phyllis's Garden. And part of the proceeds from the book will go to be donated to Phyllis's Garden so they can create these soft interview rooms where there's a rug and there's a couch and there's a painting and plants. It's inviting at the police station so that they're interviewed there rather than at the place where they were sexually assaulted, and really go through some of the education and the empathy training for law enforcement that want to do better, that will do better. And so it's about paying it forward and turning that pain into power.
Was it Jane? Was she the one who, and again, I know I'm skipping all over the place, and we will get eventually back to Joseph DeAngelo. I don't want to make it all about him in this talk that we have today, Thien. Was it Jane who looked him in the eye?
Yes, I talk about that in the case. So Jane was sexually assaulted in Sacramento. She ended up retiring as a colonel from the military. She's so powerful, so engaging. And during the case, at one point, she literally got up from her seat and was slowly walking forward towards DeAngelo. It was as if she had turned the tables and she was stalking him now. And she was wanting to get that eye contact with him. But I talk about that, and Jane is such a powerful force as well. And it was all part of the victim's efforts to retain some of that strength and that power back and that control that was taken from them.
Yeah. And I believe it was her that made the quote, something about, and, I think this ought to be an argument for every rape case, every sexual assault case, about his background, about what had happened to him, about him having been raped. And it was, just because something had happened to you doesn't mean you can go out and do it to someone else. It all happened to us, and we never went out and did it to anybody else. Why should you be so special?
That's a great point that you bring up. So he had witnessed his sister being sexually assaulted, and that created a trauma. And Gay Hardwick, who's one of the survivors, one of the sexual assault survivors, in her impact statement, she says, look, we all have choices in life. We were assaulted and sexually assaulted to the point where our lives were almost ended. And we didn't turn out to be a monster. We did not then turn around and assault other people and do heinous things to other people. And that's what we talk about in terms of the choices. We oftentimes have horrible things that happen to all of us, but it's our choice whether we feed the darkness or whether we feed the light. He chose to feed the darkness. And so that's a choice. And Gay put it beautifully in her impact statement that, I talked about in the book.
Absolutely. I tell you what, Thien, we're going to take a break. When we come back, you face some interesting challenges with this particular case. Some of them had to do with forces outside of this case. Some of them had to do with Joseph DeAngelo himself. When we come back, I want to talk about some of these challenges and how you overcame them. They're quite interesting, and I applaud your ingenuity as to how you overcame these. We're going to talk about them when we come back. The book is a great one, folks. I encourage you to go get it. We have a link in the description of this program. It's put out by Third State Books. It is called The People versus the Golden State Killer. My guest is Thien Ho. He's the District Attorney of Sacramento. He is also the author of this wonderful book. And folks, I want you to go get it right now during the break. When we come back, these challenges that our district attorney had to put up with and how he overcame them. Next on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is District Attorney Thien Ho. The book is The People versus the Golden State Killer. It's a good one, folks, and we encourage you to get it. It's available in the link in the description of this program right now. It is put out by Third State Books. Before we left you, I was teasing that our barrister here had some challenges, both from the outside and from within, from Joseph DeAngelo himself. I think I'll start with the challenges from within, and then we'll work our way out. When he was caught, when Joseph DeAngelo was caught, he was caught from by a group that was affectionately nicknamed the Body Snatchers, which was a group of policemen who caught him on the sidewalk as he was working. He suspected that people may be watching him. He was out working on his yard. He was perfectly able-bodied. And as he was snatched up on his sidewalk, he claimed he had a roast in the oven. Working on his lawn, everything was fine and dandy, perfectly able-bodied. Yet the minute he got to an interrogation room, he became quite silent. In fact, he started to act quite feeble. But it was you, Thien, that found out otherwise. How did you find out that he wasn't quite what he was portraying when he was in front of other people?
You have to look at a person's history. And, I was tasked with really recreating every step of his life from when he was born in New York to the time that he was arrested and beyond. And what we had discovered is that Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, was a master manipulator. Everything about him was a mask, was manipulation at its essence. So, for example, in 1979, when he was a police officer, he was arrested for shoplifting, dog repellent, and a hammer. The loss prevention officers had to arrest him. He fought and struggled with them. They tied him down to a chair, and he started to babble nonsense, talking to himself, saying crazy things. And later, when the sheriff's deputies arrived, he actually told the deputies, hey, look, I was just pretending to be crazy, hoping that they wouldn't call you guys. And so he has a history of malingering. So now he's in the interview room, the interrogation room, and he's being confronted with all these crimes. And I really lay it out for the first time ever anywhere. So the account that I gave of the interrogation has never been detailed like it has been detailed in my book. He's sitting there, and it was then as he's sitting there by himself, he tries to create a mental defense, to create a split personality, what we call dissociative identity disorder, where he was blaming a person named Jerry for forcing him to commit these crimes and the split personality that he had. And so once he did that, he was saying, I didn't want to do these, but Jerry made me do it. And so I was then tasked with really digging into his past, showing that this is just typical behavior where he's malingering, he's pretending to be mentally ill. And then going through the process, okay, if a person does have split personality, if they are somebody who's suffering from dissociative identity disorder, what else must be true? And then going through his background, showing, well, that's not true. That's not true. So therefore, this is all made up. And so it's really playing chess in the interrogation room versus checker, really playing chess in the courtroom and the strategy versus playing checkers and thinking several moves ahead.
Interesting. So there's one other thing that happens too. Once he's in custody, that you manage to decipher and have actual physical evidence that he's playing around with everybody. You actually went to the tapes.
Absolutely. So first time he comes to court, he's sitting in a wheelchair and he's leaning back his head. He's barely speaking. He's breathing out of his mouth. He's barely audible. He acts as if he's an invalid, completely out of it. And no less than a few days before that, he's riding about on his motorcycle. He's fishing. He's working on his yard. He's doing all these active things. And so clearly he is malingering. And so we had video of him in a cell. And part of the reason why we did was when they put him in the booking cell as he was getting ready to be booked in jail, he put his head down, boom, he rammed it into the wall. So if you go back and you look at his booking photo, he actually has red on the top of his head. It's dry blood. So we were worried that he was going to hurt himself. So we ended up putting him in a cell that had a camera in it that watched him 24 hours a day. And I literally have a video of him walking into a cell with a cane, right? Like the character Kaiser Sousa from The Usual Suspects. So DeAngelo's walking in with a cane and he's hobbling. The moment the door closes to a cell, he puts the cane down. He's walking around. He's doing jumping jacks and he's acting just normal. So again, he's malingering. He is pretending to put on this mask and manipulate the public.
That's amazing. And he continues this ruse whenever he's brought to a courtroom. He continues this ruse whenever he's in public with the idea that, well, I mean, first of all, whenever he's brought in front of you in a courtroom, he has the right to remain silent. Whenever he's brought in front of a police officer, he has the right to remain silent. Why give you the invalid spiel?
He wants to be in control. People ask me, why did he commit his crimes, right? And in terms of doing an analysis of why he committed his crime, it explains why he's done everything the way he did when he was in custody. It's about control. You see, he felt very powerless in his own life, whether it was because of that incident watching his sister get raped, whether it's, his micro penis that he had that we had to verify that many of the victims talked about, whether it's his personal life, whatever it is, he felt extremely powerless in his own personal life. And so he became a hunter, not of deer, not of elk, but of human beings. And he was meticulous in his planning. He hunted human beings. And when he was in their house, he drank their beer. He ate their food to make himself be in control in their home. He had them tied up so he could be in control. He had the male on all fours with a bed sheet and glasses on his back. And he sexually assaulted the female, the wife, the girlfriend, because he wanted to be in control. And when he was about to kill his witnesses and his victims, right? He held their lives in the palm of his hand. He wanted to be God. He had this God complex to be in control. And now, when we had him in jail, when we had him in custody, he could no longer be God. He could no longer be in control. And that was his form of trying to take some of that control back by trying to manipulate us and play us in the courtroom.
So, Tin, is it the dissociative disease that allows him to shove all that in the corner of his brain and then go, but I have this family over here and I'm a good guy? Is that what
the dissociative identity disorder is a mental defense that I think that he faked.
Okay.
So I don't think he had that at all.
All right.
It is another example of it malingering, because when you have dissociative identity disorder, you have several different personalities. You're unable to function at all because you switch back and forth. You then don't even have the memory of your different identities. You then have other, have suicidal ideations. When we looked at his history and talked to his family, he didn't have suicidal ideation. He was able to function as a police officer and then as a mechanic. So he wasn't gripped by this to the point where he was disabled, and he didn't have a history of blackout. So to be clear, this was all made up.
So he's just a narcissist.
He's a narcissist. He's a sociopath that was able to separate certain parts of his life from other parts of his life.
So why the roots of a family then? Why surround yourself with a wife and daughters? Is that just a cover so that he can continue his everyday activities?
When he committed his crimes, he wore a mask. His uniform and his badge as a police officer was a mask. His family life was a mask. His life as a retired mechanic was a mask. These are all nothing but tools for him to mask the true monster behind it. They were nothing more than a cover and a mask to hide the true monstrosity that is Joseph DeAngelo, that is the Golden State Killer.
Wow. There's one, again, I'm trying not to give too much away from the book, but there's one thing that hit me when reading this book, and that is his own daughter and some of the reading material that she had. And it was all about serial killers, wasn't it?
It was. One of his daughters was a psychology major, and she studied serial killers. And here she was. Her father was one of the most notorious serial killers. And so in the book, I talk about how we discover that and the context and the circumstances. It's a really interesting story about how we did that. But if you want to know more about that, you got to buy the book.
That's right. Absolutely. The challenges from without. During this case, as this case is developing, the country gets the pandemic known as COVID. And I think we've all been touched by COVID in one way or another. It presented a challenge for you and your prosecutors. I think you both, everybody in this case, at one point or another, is trying to decide how we're going to go about this. I mean, not only are you trying to decide where you're going to try this case, in what jurisdiction, but now this case has kind of grown to become a huge deal. I mean, not only do you want the victims to be present, to be able to see justice be done, not only are you trying to decide, death penalty or do we, plea out on this deal, but you also are trying to decide where we're going to hold this, because let's face it, there's going to be a gallery of some sort, right? But you can't have that during COVID.
Absolutely. So one of the big challenges in the case is, you can imagine, this case, as I had mentioned, spans 11 different jurisdictions, 13 murders, 50 sexual assaults, 120 burglaries that happened nearly 40 years ago. You have videotape evidence, you have DNA evidence, you have forensic evidence, blood, serology, you have interviews and suspects of tens of thousands of people. There were tens of thousands of suspects, right? And there were all these interviews and these photographs that we had to recreate. There were 3 million pages in the police reports combined alone. And we were seeking the death penalty on this case. And mind you, that meant that we had to get into a courtroom. When you're prosecuting, whether it's a death penalty case or just a straight up murder case, you have to preserve the evidence before witnesses passed away. So we had to get witnesses into the courtroom and have them testify. We had a detective in Orange County that was 96 years old, near death and near, and almost blind. One of my main witnesses in Sacramento was 92 years old, Nicholas Ottlinger, who I needed him to testify. And all of a sudden, we have COVID and everything shuts down. Stores shut down, schools shut down, businesses shut down. We had to hoard toilet paper and food, right? And so imagine now trying to get elderly witnesses with health and who are immunely compromised into a courtroom to testify in the middle of a 100-year pandemic. Those were significant challenges for us in terms of how to navigate that. And then once we were in a courtroom, we had to find a courtroom that was big enough to hold everybody with social distancing. And as you may, I don't know if you recall this, the first time I heard the word social distancing in 2020, I had no idea what it was. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we were facing challenges that nobody had ever faced before in dealing with a case of this magnitude.
Yeah, just incredible. And then there was something incredibly interesting that you had a challenge you had to overcome, and that was you wanted your victims to be able to see this man's face. As you've been pointing out eloquently, this man had been hiding behind a mask the entire time he had been committing his crimes. He could not wear a mask in front of them. He shouldn't be hiding behind a mask. He needed to be revealed for these people in order for them to get justice. Yet you're in a period where a mask is essential in order to maintain safety. So how do you overcome that?
Well, I'll save some of the details for the book, but what I will kind of tease a little bit is this, if you recall, and I was watching the video again of the court proceeding, Judge Bowman said, all right, before we start today, we have maintained and followed COVID protocols. Everyone's temperature has been taken here today. Do you remember, walking into a business or certain locations, you have to have your temperature measured?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's been 5 years since COVID, but just listening to that again brought the chills back. And so here's a situation where I had to figure out essentially how to get him not to wear a mask, or for the victims and the survivors and their families to see his face. And, I had to make an argument in front of a judge to get him to I went on Amazon and I bought one of those clear face shields. Right. But then just because I got a clear face shield, I had to then set up the situation so that the court would order him to wear that, and the whole spectacle in court of making sure that they saw him with his clear face shield. So it was quite the endeavor to do that. And I talk about it quite a bit in the book, and how we were able to do that. And then what happened as a result of that, because there was a lot of drama behind that particular incident.
Yeah. Yeah. Folks, you got to read it. It's the things that Thien went through in order to try to attempt this was, man, you talk about jumping hoops. It's incredibly fascinating. And in order to try to get justice for these people who have been suffering for decades and going through this pain, is something else. It really is something else. You did make a personal promise to a survivor, and you don't make personal promises normally when you sit down with people at the beginning of a case. Normally, you tell people at the beginning of a case what, and what was the personal promise you made?
You know, what I normally say in a case to a victim is I always tell them, look, I don't make a promise on results. All I can promise you is that nobody will work harder on your case than I will. But getting a conviction or getting a particular result is very difficult, because if you think about it, imagine getting 12 people to agree to have the same thing for breakfast. Now I have to get 12 people to agree to convict somebody of murder or rape by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So I never make a promise. But what I did make a promise to was Phyllis. When I met her for the very first time and I shook her hand, and I was, as described earlier, it was as if I was reaching across time and space. And something about her and her voice and the look in her eye, really struck in my soul. And I told her, look, I promise you, Phyllis, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going to make sure that you get justice. We're going to make sure that your voice is heard. And lo and behold, we were able to make sure that her voice was heard and that she was obtained justice as well.
And as we begin to wrap up here today, Thien, and again, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. Again, it's completely my honor to have you on today. I want to know what this means for you. Have you seen with this case what justice truly looks like? And if so, can you describe it for me? Is this what you got into this for? Is this what justice looks like for you?
100%. So on a very practical level, we use genetic genealogy to solve this case, meaning we took some crime scene evidence, we converted into a special profile that can be uploaded into a genealogy database like 23andMe, Ancestry.com. And from that, we were able to build a family tree and identify him to a distant cousin and identify him as a suspect. That technique now has been used. It's called IGG, investigative genetic genealogy. And it's been used to solve nearly 1,000 cases around the world. Mm-hmm. And so it's on a practical level, that's justice, that's closure. On a very personal level, I became a prosecutor to serve, to give back to people, in my community, to a country that brought and welcomed my family in. And seeing the look and hearing the words and the voices of the survivors and the victims and what it meant for them to obtain a measure of justice, no matter how imperfect 40 years later, really is the epitome of what our justice system is about. And so that's really why I entered into this profession, and that's what justice looks like for me. It is providing victims and survivors a voice when their voice was taken, to try to put back the very fabric of their lives when it was shredded apart, and to give them a sense of power over pain, triumph over tragedy. This is what justice looks like. And it was an honor of a lifetime to work on it.
Well, it's our honor to hear your story. And again, I want people to go out and get the book because, again, proceeds are from this book, or portion of those proceeds are going to go towards Phyllis's garden and are going to help towards getting safe rooms for interviews for these assault victims, so that they can sit down and tell their stories and get more of these monsters off the street. And that's what we want. Mr. District Attorney, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. The People versus the Golden State Killer is available now. Thien Ho is my guest and the author of this wonderful book. And again, we have a link in the description of this. A link in the description of this program. I'll get this out, and I swear I will. It's available by Third State Books. And again, it's a wonderful book. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I want you guys to go out and get this book as well. It's the most complete book about this case that you're going to read. And again, you're going to get not only the background on Joseph DeAngelo, you're not only going to get the background on the cases, you're going to get to meet all the victims. You're going to get their stories. You're going to get their reactions to Joseph DeAngelo and the verdict. You're going to find out everything that's happened in this case. You're even going to get the background as to the prosecution in this case and how the prosecutors came together to decide how they were going to go at Joseph DeAngelo, which is wonderful. You're completely behind the scenes on this thing, and it's a complete look at this case. Thien Ho, I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. Book comes out November 11th. You can pre-order the book, and I'm also going to be going on a book tour. So look out for that. I'm going to be in St. Louis, Houston, Seattle, San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, and all throughout Southern California. But kind of be on the lookout for that. And Tim, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation.
I enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much. Folks, it's time now for us to lighten things up a bit. We'll bring in Travis Thorpe, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, I need a co-host. That's right, I said co-host because, well, let's just say my normal co-hostess for this segment is off somewhere on the West Coast, probably earning an unhonest living in Las Vegas somewhere. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking, Jess. She's in Las Vegas, I believe, this weekend, and hopefully hasn't been sold off by the mafia for liquor money or something else in an unhonest time-honored tradition. I think I've said too much. So with that, I reach my hand out across town and look for a good brother, one who will give you forehead smoochies if you ask nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the combat rev himself, Travis Thorpe.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Forehead smoochies to all of the Darkness Radio family.
And you're in full regalia tonight. I'm dressed in black because I'm mourning the Vikings loss, but you're...
Yeah, I've been getting a little wild with my AI-generated videos of my avatar, and I decided to wear the full costume of Combat Rev and just lean into it fully here.
You think you've been getting a little wild with those videos?
I mean, I'm getting quite a lot of fan mail about it. I've only had 2 haters so far, so I think I'm doing pretty good with it.
There's nothing to hate. It's actually it's quite funny.
Yeah,
all of them are quite funny. Yeah. I've had a ball with them.
It's a great way to entertain yourself when you're bored, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm having a blast. I love the sumo version of Timmy you've made. I think it's great.
I had a really hard time describing AI on how to make you, and then I was like, make him jovial, and I think they did a good job making you jovial. Right.
Oh, yeah. If you'd have put a beard and a red hat on me, I'd be able to deliver presents at Christmas. Yeah. I'm jovial. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were standing outside of Trailer Park 6, so there's a lot of reasons to be jovial.
I don't know how much we crowdfunded for Trailer Park 6, but holy cow, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I expect nothing less, right?
It was a little too beautiful for Trailer Park 6. I was imagining something a little more rundown.
I love that AI made the perfect tagline for it too, where it was, what was it? Where average is the new exotic.
Yes. Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah. Average is the new exotic. Yeah.
I love it.
It's great. Yeah. It's a little too scary, that AI. Yeah. But you know what? I think I need to get this t-shirt business going, and I think we need a Trailer Park 6 t-shirt.
We do. We do. And we need Michael as the DJ for sure. So, Michael, if you're listening, yes, you're the DJ.
Yep, you're the DJ, Mike. That's for sure. Yeah. So, yeah. I think Michael gets the first t-shirt free. The Trailer Park 6 t-shirt. Or average is the new exotic.
God, I love that.
Such a good slogan.
What was the other tagline? Your character, the AI made it say, what was it? You think you're going to get in there with the vest like that?
Yeah.
Well, the guy at the door said, clergy get in free.
It's only to keep them on the straight and narrow, though, right? That's why they get in free.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Do those vampire ladies get in to dance, or do they get in just to get in? And if they get in, are they going to turn everybody? That's what I want to know.
I'm hoping they turn everybody. You know, I'm all about it. I mean, the video with the vampire chicks, I mean, I couldn't make that any more perfect. That is literally how I would die.
Yeah. The whole, so this is how I die.
Yep. So I guess this is how I die today.
That was funny. And then the whole lunch break thing was funny. I mean, they're all very funny. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent job. Yeah.
Yeah. Only a handful of them make my wife angry.
Only a handful. There's nothing there to get angry about. It's all very funny. It's all very good. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy them. Even though I weigh 785 pounds in the video, I fully enjoy them.
I will tell you that when I first created my avatar on there, I described myself exactly as I am in real life. And I said, okay, 6'1", 298 pounds, somewhere on there, right? Because I was like 301 back in February, right?
Okay.
And so I give it that descriptor, and I looked like a freaking hippopotamus.
I was going to say, they make your weight fluctuate. Like, there's times where you kind of look like you, and there's other times it's like, oh, let's make them 450 pounds. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I had to change the description to make me look like 238 to get it to look normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, AI is mean.
It is. It's a mean little bitch. It really is. Yeah. That's why I don't think we can take our Defense Department and automate it. You just can't, because it's going to end up turning around and bombing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we've discussed that before in the past too, where they talked about putting AI in that fighter jet and it turned around and started hitting the towers, so it couldn't tell it what not to do.
Right.
Yeah. AI is vicious.
It is. Yeah. It's like an automated mean girl, is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Yeah. Yes. And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. Yeah. See, you brought it right back around.
I love it.
All right. I suppose we got plenty of stories to hit. Speaking of mean girls, it's like, this is like a mean girls with criminals this week is what this is.
Hot.
Very hot. Speaking of, 'tis the season, and when you're in the season, you might as well start a crime out by getting dressed up in costume, right?
Well, yeah, you don't want to get caught.
Well, and you might as well wear a Nixon mask, because that's the stereotype. Either that or dress up like dead presidents and have the white and black makeup. Although this first story, Trav, I'll tell you this, is scary as all get out for this particular person. It's not that funny, but when I read the story earlier, I thought to myself, if I were this person, I think I would have shit my pants. I really would have. I know we're not safe for work territory, but there's no other way to describe this. This person actually thought this was a Halloween prank when it happened.
Really?
Yeah. I had one story that was kind of funny about person getting the cops called on them because they didn't know what the costume was. They just saw this person wandering around in Ontario, in Barrie, Ontario. So they called the cops. It was pretty much a non-story, so I didn't pull it. They're like wandering around. They called the cops on this person because they were trying out their Halloween costume. And they're like, what is that thing? And the cop shows up and goes, what is that thing? And he's like, well, I just put together this Halloween costume. I thought I'd try it out. Well, nobody could figure out what it was, so they called the guy in, because they didn't know what they were reporting.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a weird story, right? This is the opposite of that. The headline here is, open the door. Trio wearing Halloween masks caught on camera trying to break into an Alexandria, Virginia home.
That's not a state you want to do that in.
No. A masked trio terrorized an Alexandria family, banging on the door, making threats, and trying to break in. There's a Ring video associated with this. So I tell you what, I'll attach this to the description of this program so you can watch the video, because the video is terrifying too. A terrifying late night encounter was caught on camera in Alexandria. Disturbing doorbell camera footage shows a group of 3 people wearing scary Halloween masks, banging on the door and threatening the homeowner. The incident happened at around 10 p.m. last Tuesday. The family asked WUSA 9 to not disclose the exact address, but rather share that it happened in the area near Duke and South Jordan Streets. At first, I thought it was just a Halloween joke, a little prank, said Shayla, who's the mother's, it's her mother's home, Shayla said. So I said, Happy Halloween. The only problem is Halloween's not for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Right. But the knocking got louder and more aggressive. They kept knocking on the door, she said. The knocks would get harder and harder. Despite Shayla calling 911 and warning the group that the police were on the way, the masked individuals continued shouting and trying to force their way in. It's either you coming out or we coming in, one voice was heard saying on the video. Another shouted, open the door. Even though they know the cops are on the way. Yikes. Shayla said the group threatened their lives. They threatened to kill us, she said. When they couldn't get in through the front door, Shayla said they moved to the back of the house. The whole thing, they broke down, as you can tell. That doesn't make sense. This whole thing they broke down, as you can tell, she said, showing damage to the fence into their backyard. They hopped up on here and went through there, she explained, showing how they damaged the screened-in back porch. She said the masked individuals began hitting the back window. They were just hitting the window, Shayla recalled. My heart dropped when they said that they were going to take a chair and break down the door. That is just too much. It's not even a joke gone wrong, Shayla said. They tried to enter the home. Or they tried to enter into the home. The ordeal lasted about 10 minutes, but Shayla said it left the entire family shaken up, especially her mother. My dad recently just died, so it's just like I'm just glad I was here, she said. But now she's in fear. She just doesn't want to stay there by herself.
Wow.
So her mother is absolutely traumatized. Shayla said she's grateful the situation didn't escalate further. It could have been bad, she said. Our Second Amendment right was not used and could have been, like being very transparent here. To the people responsible, Shayla had a message. That was giving grown-up activity, she said. The time frame alone, 10 o'clock at night, to knock on someone's door in costume is never okay. Halloween, not Halloween, it's never okay. Alexandria police had officers at the home collecting evidence on Wednesday. They asked if you have any information about the trio or doorbell camera footage to contact Alexandria police. And like I said, I'll post this in the description of the program so you can take a look at the footage for yourself, and especially if you're in that area. Here's the thing, Trev. Lately, and especially the last couple of years, it seems like the whole ding-dong ditch phenomenon is back. It seems to be a popular game. But it's become more deadly. Even in states where stand your ground is not a thing, people are opening the door and brandishing weapons because they feel it's their right? Mm-hmm. Guard your domicile. Because you don't know who's on the other side of that door. And it's idiots like this who show up and want to create a home invasion just by banging on a door and figuring they're just going to walk right in, that create that kind of behavior.
Well, you mess around and you find out. You play adult games, you win adult prizes, and don't do it.
Yeah. Another bizarre story. This one, I'm trying to put the logic into this little brain of mine. Here's the headline on this one. It says, "Why are you shoving me?" Amazon driver says he shot a U.S. Postal Service worker in the face after mistaking him for an assassin.
What?
Yeah.
Please tell me this is Florida.
You would think. It's in Washington.
The state or D.C.?
Washington, the state.
Oh, wild.
Yeah, we're going to Everett, Washington. Here's a story. A heavily armed Amazon delivery driver, which I got to believe you got to be these days because Amazon carries some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Claimed he shot a U.S. Postal Service employee in the face because he assumed the postal worker was a mafia assassin. What kind of stuff are you into that you think the mafia is after you?
I mean, is the La Costa Nostra like still operating in Washington State in 2025?
No idea.
W in the chat, boys.
26-year-old Blake Michael Kuhlman was arrested and charged with felony first-degree assault in connection with the deadly shooting, which took place on October 3rd at an apartment complex in Everett, Washington. Police said that Kuhlman admitted to shooting the mail carrier in the head, but insisted that he opened fire in self-defense. Authorities say the victim will survive, but his injuries, but will lose an eye.
So you're shot in the head.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to survive.
Yep.
He's going to lose an eye.
Going to lose an eye.
What was he shot with?
I think we will get to that. Let's see here. Per Como News, an arrest report included what Kuhlman told police detectives about how the confrontation escalated to violence. Here we go. Kuhlman indicated that this was in self-defense because the U.S. Postal Service worker was trying to charge at him while Kuhlman was cornered. Okay. A detective wrote this in his report. Here's the quote. Kuhlman recounted how the USPS worker had smiled at him before lunging forward with both of his arms behind him in a charging motion. Kuhlman also explained that this postal worker, USPS worker, didn't have any packages in his arms at the time, and that Kuhlman felt he was about to be tackled. This is odd. It is odd. A witness told police a version of the events that didn't exactly line up with Kuhlman's account. Here's the witness's version. I saw the mailroom door close in an argument between the USPS man and the Amazon man. The Postal Service man shoved the Amazon driver and shouted, "Why the F are you shoving me?" The Amazon driver then pulled out a pistol and shot the USPS man in the head, the witness said. Now that makes more sense.
Yeah. That, this is giving me vibes of that situation on the bus where that lady got stabbed in the neck. And dude was like, she's reading my thoughts. She's in my brain, and that's why I stabbed her.
Right.
I'm getting similar vibes.
There's maybe some mental illness going on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time of the altercation, Kuhlman was reportedly armed with 2 firearms, a bulletproof plate carrier, a large knife, and a pistol magazine holder, which were all concealed under his Amazon uniform. Bro was carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was ready. Kuhlman told detectives that he carried the bulletproof vest because he had been shot by rifles and crossbows while on the job. Who's shooting at an Amazon carrier with stuff?
Yeah, you want, well, I mean, maybe if he was getting robbed.
Maybe.
I mean, that's a possibility.
But with a crossbow, is Daryl Dixon chasing you, trying to get his package?
Look, there's a lot of felons out there that can't get their hands on firearms anymore, but they can get their hands on a crossbow.
Okay. All right. He said he never reported the incidents to the police because there was no evidence. See? Mental illness. Yeah. Kuhlman also alleged that he was being cyber-stalked by the mafia.
Another point to mental illness.
And he had suspicions that the USPS worker may have been a mafia assassin. We're putting it all together now. Throughout the interview, Kuhlman continued to assert that this was a clear case of self-defense, and he was expecting to get all of his property back and was surprised that he was being booked into jail. That according to the arrest report.
Something just occurred to me.
What's that?
What was it? Son of Sam? Something about the dog and the dog telling him to murder or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the number one enemy of dogs?
Postal workers.
Postal workers.
Yeah.
Maybe our friend, the Amazon man, was receiving telepathic messages from the dogs in the neighborhood and on the route. And the dogs were telling him that the postal worker was a mafia assassin. And he was just listening to all the voices of reason around him.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, a dog is a man's best friend. So you got to listen to him.
Yeah.
He's not going to lead you astray.
Yeah. I mean, a dog probably saved his life from one of those crossbows.
Probably. Probably took an arrow for him. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's that, Lassie? The postal worker is an assassin?
He's an assassin for the mob? And he's got his hands behind his back? He's probably going to shoot, right, boy? Right, boy? I'm going to shoot him first.
I'm not ordering Amazon in the next couple of months.
as sure as my name's Kuhlman, I'm going to get him right between the eyes. Thank you, boy. Amazon told Como that Kuhlman does not work directly for the company, but he's a delivery service partner. So I'm sure they screened him thoroughly. Yeah.
So he's like the 10 people that show up at my house every day in their random car.
Yeah.
And throw on the little Amazon vest and then pull it out of their trunk. And yep. Okay.
Yeah. In a statement, company officials stated their policy prohibits drivers delivering Amazon packages from carrying weapons and that the company adheres to state and local laws. Well, the company does, but Mr. Kuhlman didn't. The company also requires delivery service partners to conduct background checks for their employees. Police have not identified the victim of the shooting. Kuhlman remains in jail on $1 million bond. Prosecutors requested the high bail amount after arguing that the accused shooter is a public safety risk.
I would argue that the prosecuting attorney isn't doing enough either, because that is a federal employee that was in the performance of their duties.
Yeah.
And he was shot with deadly force at very close range. This should be a federal case.
Where's the federal prosecutor? Right.
I think DOJ should be handling this one, not the state prosecuting office.
Well, it's still, I mean, this just happened last week, so I'm sure the feds will come in. Much like the state first grabs the case, and then the feds will probably come in and want to charge on top of it. And the Fed will circumvent the state's charges.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Bad boys.
Yeah. I saw this next story, Trav, on the news and was shocked. We are going to Florida for this one. Some people may say that this thief had a heart of gold. Some people may say he has a conscience. Others may say he's incredibly stupid. And a few of you may go, he got finally what was coming to him, and he picked the wrong target. You ready for this? The quote here is, "This is wild. 911 calls reveal moments during a Brevard County car theft where a 1-year-old was inside the car at the time he stole it. The suspect returns a stolen car after noticing a child was inside. He immediately returned it. He was pulling away, noticed the child, turned right back around and returned the car to the woman who was standing outside."
Wow.
And got out of the car and apologized to her and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I didn't know." Then was arrested. He was found.
Yeah?
He was found later. Here's the full story. A 911 call was released Thursday that revealed moments after a man briefly stole a car from a Brevard County gas station and returned the vehicle when he realized a 1-year-old child was inside, according to the sheriff's office. The incident happened on Tuesday at a Sunoco station off of US 1 and Cocoa. The woman who owned the car told deputies she had stepped inside the store when she noticed her blue Toyota Camry driving away with her baby in the back seat. Now imagine for a second, Travis. You go to a gas station. I know you're smarter than this, though.
Mm-hmm.
You fill up. You're just going to run inside real quick and pay. You are going to take your child out of the car, correct?
Yep, every time.
Every time. You're not going to leave that child in the car for a second. This woman leaves the child in the car, goes, I'm just going to go in and pay real quick and come out. First of all, horrible mistake. Never do that. What kind of feelings are you going through knowing that you've made, first of all, the dumbest mistake in the world of leaving that child in the car, even for just a split second? And what are you feeling as that car is driving away with your child?
I would say absolute universal collapse. You know, like that's your child. That is half of you. That is everything of your heart. Right. And it's just driving away.
And that's 100%.
You have no control over it.
That's 100% on you.
Yep. And your entire universe collapses in that moment. Right. I don't think anybody could be outside of a manic episode.
Yeah.
Seeing that happen.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I know it's, I don't want to unbuckle. I don't want to have to pull them out for, to go in and just pay real quick and, all of that. And
they start fussing and they're going to want a treat. And
yeah, I don't have the money for a treat. I don't have time. I got to get where I'm going. We got to go. You don't understand. You don't have kids, blah, 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 blah. No, I get it. But it's stuff that happens like this. In the rare chance that this happens, it could be you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The incident, again, happened on Tuesday. During that 911 call, the woman described how the man had sped off, but then backed up and returned the car after spotting the child. So again, thief with a little bit of heart of gold sees the kid in the back seat and goes, whoa, no. Oh, kid, can't do this. I can't do this. Right? I can't, no. The woman said, he literally about left with my child when I ran into the gas station. He tried to steal my car. The caller provided a detailed description of the suspect, a white man in his early 40s wearing a black long-sleeve shirt with a Nike logo, black basketball shorts, and black socks. The man had dirty blonde hair shaved on the sides with longer hair on the top. So he had a mullet.
Well, either that or a high and tight.
He could have had a high and tight, yeah. He's just walking around saying, I never would have taken it, the caller said. I'm so grateful he stopped because my son was in there, but this is wild. So he's got a conscience. The 911 dispatcher stayed on the line as the woman followed the suspect, who was allegedly seen walking near a nearby Social Security office and peeking into windows. He said that I was leaving and someone was coming to shoot me, the woman told the 911 dispatcher. So he did have a high and tight. He had a very awkward high and tight. Here's the picture of him.
Oh, my.
That's a bad haircut.
Now, I mean, I'm just going to steal a saying from my buddy that works at DOJ.
Okay.
I'm not saying he has meth, but he definitely knows where to find it.
Oh, yeah. He could tell you the 5 sources of meth closest to where he's standing at that particular point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if a heart of gold is the case,
Yeah, I messed up when I said that because then he threatens to have somebody shoot her.
Right. I would say that most likely it's not his first time in prison. And if he took off putting that young child at risk, stealing that car, he would have bad paperwork.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that would not bode well for him in prison.
Right.
Because that's a kidnapping charge.
Yeah.
And child endangerment. And he's not going to have a fun time in prison. Yeah.
Deputies arrived shortly after, and the suspect, identified as 53-year-old William Mullis, was arrested. Mullis faces charges of grand theft of a motor vehicle and kidnapping confinement under 13. So he still has the charge because he took off with the vehicle.
Yep.
A judge denied him bond, so he gets a little extra time to think it over. Yeah.
Oh, Florida.
So my mistake. I thought maybe he had a little heart of gold there. That's the way they made it seem when I watched it on the news. When I watched it, they were like, "Oh, but he returned the kid."
Yep.
Initially,
I would have had the same reaction, but then when I saw that his middle name is Methany,
yeah, that haircut was kind of weird. It's kind of like, he found a clipper in the street and decided to cut it himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the haircut of trauma. That he looks like an NPC in Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah. No, that's a good description. That's pretty accurate. Yeah. Now,
I wonder if he would pay for bottle service at Trailer Park 6.
And all that is really is a bottle of Bud Light brought to the table. So yeah. Would you like this on ice, sir?
We ain't got no ice, but we got Smirnoff ice.
That's right. Well, the ice is extra if you want the ice in VIP. So yeah. And we have to go out for it. We have to go to the local convenience store to get it because we don't carry it. We don't have an ice machine.
We ain't got any of that fancy stuff. Now, if you want that other ice,
yeah, that's spendy. We're
gonna have to talk to Daryl across the street.
Yeah, if you want top shelf liquor, we got to get up on the top shelf to get it because that's where we keep it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We really got to do this,
and it's hard because we all got that arteritis, so that's hard. Yeah, you got to give us a minute.
We keep the real good stuff down with Pappy Shine down in the cellar.
And Pappy's actually down there too, making it. You can smell the steel burning.
Can't you smell that mash? No, I thought that was Becky.
No, we gotta tell Becky she's got to shower more than once a month.
That's what brings them all in on Wednesdays.
We ain't having no sourdough contest. That's just Becky.
Our official apologies to any listeners named Becky
who actually have a sourdough starter happening at home. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we aren't even in not safe for work category yet, and we're still talking about Trailer Park 6. Look at that. Although we didn't really say anything, did we?
No.
All right. Well, I know this much. If I'm going to take a taser, I'm going to go out with style. I'm going to go big time, and I'm going to commit a crime where I'm going to make $1 million, maybe more. But you know what I'm going to do, Trav? I'm not going to deal drugs. I'm not going to deal anything that's going to hurt anybody. Oh, it might hurt you, but it's going to be slick when it hurts you. You're never going to see it coming. You know what I'm talking about?
Vaseline, lots of it.
No, I'm not Diddy. No, my friend, I'm gonna deal in an unseen commodity, one that I can move quickly and under people's noses, and they would never know. They'd never know.
Ooh, farts.
Okay, that's one, but no, a jar of farts. Yeah, people are getting rich off that, but this is not safe for work time. No, this is a commodity that I think I can move major weight, and I'm talking major weight, and I could get paid.
The last guess I got, Tim, is mayonnaise. I don't know. Give it to me.
Mayonnaise. Are you hungry right now? What's going on?
I don't know. I need an adult. Somebody hold my hand.
I think you do. I'm talking about Legos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another story about stolen Legos this week. What is
Please
it?
tell me it's like, is it at Legoland in Mall of America with one of those giant statues or what?
No. There's such a thing as Lego rings out there.
Seriously?
Yeah. I thought this was the biggest joke of a lifetime about 2 years ago, and people have been setting me straight on it. I'm like, come the F on. Are you kidding me? And people are like, no, Tim, no. First of all, I can imagine emails that sound like this.
No, Tim, seriously, I'm telling you, the Millennium Falcon Lego set is worth a lot of money.
Telling you.
I love it. I love it so much.
I'm serious. I'm as serial as a heart attack right now. Here's the deal. Now, if you get a hold of any of the Harry Potter sets, I'm telling you right now, you take that to a convention, you can triple your money. It's a better investment than most IRAs.
Yeah, you know. And it's not like a cigar that you got to keep in a humidor, you know?
No.
Although I do shrink wrap all my boxes so they're in pristine condition.
Oh, Tim. Oh. Please tell me how this converts into $1 million with Legos.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. A home filled with thousands of stolen Legos is discovered and a suspect is arrested, according to police. We go to Santa Rosa, California, where police found hundreds of thousands of allegedly stolen Legos in a suspect's home. Are you ready for this? I'm not lying to you. California man was arrested for allegedly stealing hundreds of thousands of Legos to resell them at inflated prices as part of a theft ring, according to local authorities.
Wow.
Santa Rosa police began investigating an organized retail theft fencing operation against 39-year-old Robert Lopez last month, according to the department. They announced this on October 15th in a news release. Lopez is a resident of Lake County, north of the San Francisco Bay Area. Police said Lopez was directing others to steal expensive Lego sets and purchasing the stolen property at reduced prices before reselling the sets of individual mini figurines at inflated prices. I'm trying not to laugh as I read this. Detectives reviewed footage, conducted surveillance, and collaborated with organized retail theft investigators from both Target and Walmart as they conducted their investigation. They want their shit back.
Mr. Lopez, you've always been a good runner. Tell me, how are you gonna make some more money over this next week? Well, I just picked up the new Dora the Explorer sets. They're not supposed to hit the shelf for another week. We could put that on Etsy and get 300 on the 80.
Godfather, I got two words for you. Pokemon Lego. I think we should move all our business into Pokemon Lego.
It doesn't go bad.
We don't have to have a warehouse. The stuff moves itself. We're going to be rich. And
well, technically it doesn't move at all, but...
Not unless you move the little arms and legs themselves, little bastards. And there's no opposable joints. That's what I like about it.
And if the cops are coming, you just throw them on the ground. They double as caltrops.
Those cops, those little bastards, they step on them and then they're, ouch, ouchie, ouch, ouch, I hurt. And then you get away clean. I want you to think about this, Godfather. USA Today contacted Walmart and Target for comment, by the way, on Friday, October 17th. They had not received a response from either retailer. Probably would have went a lot like this. They catch him? Good. We want our stuff back.
Yeah.
Christmas is solved. Our profit ratios will be back once again. Did they get that?
They show a bust of Mr. Lopez and he's the fucking Grinch.
Yeah. He's green. You got to hear the specifics on this. It's funny. The probe revealed additional evidence with Lopez Lopez was actively involved in organized retail theft, targeting Lego sets and communicating with local retail thieves to steal specific items, like I had said. If you're ready for this, here's what they found when they busted Mr. Lopez. Over $6,000 worth of stolen Legos were found in Lopez's home. On October 13th, detectives served a search warrant on Lopez at his home in Hidden Valley Lake. While there, detectives found tens of thousands of Lego pieces spread throughout the house, providing further evidence of a large-scale operation involving the collectibles. Police said the living room was filled with tubs, bins, and desks covered with loose Lego pieces. There were additionally numerous unopened boxes of new Lego sets, according to the department. Cops found thousands more Lego pieces in the kitchen and disassembled Lego minifigures that were discovered with heads separated from their bodies. Oh my God, the humanity! Police added that the heads were neatly organized by facial expressions. I bet a lot of them were surprised. In the hallway, police. This is like a Lego serial killer's dream to see all these body parts all over the place. It's like the Ed Gein of Lego serial killers that they found. In the hallway, I wonder if Charlie Hunnam's going to play Lopez in a movie. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? In the hallway, police also found unopened Lego boxes on the floor. The garage contained about 100 assembled minifigures, which were displayed on shelves, along with unopened sets, large tubs of loose pieces, and broken down packaging. Can I get any more dramatic reading this, by the way?
I feel like there needs to be a fucking CSI episode on this.
I feel like they need to do a monster series on this on Netflix. Yeah. The scene suggested systemic sorting and potential resale activity consistent with fencing operations involving high-demand collectible items, police said. According to police, they recovered over $6,000 in stolen Legos during search of Lopez's home. Police said the sale of stolen Lego items is a growing concern due to their high resale value, popularity among collectors, and ease of concealment. They said $6,000. I think they needed to aim higher.
I think to the average collector, we're talking probably, I don't know, Travis, $600,000, $700,000 worth of product here.
Yeah, well, the problem was they were doing the whole Dora the Explorer thing when obviously they should have been doing Harry Potter series. We talked about that.
I think the cops didn't know what they were sitting on here. I think they see Legos and they just see Legos. They didn't see the individual value that was sitting there. This man was sitting on Fort fucking Knox.
They didn't realize when they took the picture of all those heads in there, 2 of them were misprints. Those misprints are worth $100,000 each.
He had, and if I may, he had the valuable cross-eyed minifigure head. The one that looks like this. That head alone, Travis, is worth $1.5 million.
Oh, my.
And he stole it from the Dalai Lama.
I love you so much, Tim.
The items are often targeted due to their small size, by the way, being untraceable and in high demand. Legos are untraceable.
There's no serial number.
There's no serial number on a Lego.
Are they ghost Legos?
Ghost Legos. You mean you can 3D print that shit? I just surprised myself so much I hit my iPad.
This is the next stage of our fucking Lego.
Counterfeit Legos, my friend. We gonna be rich.
You got a hard to get Lego thing? That's okay. My boy Luigi over here in the next room, he can print them out.
I'll get you all the Millennium Falcons you need, my friend. You give me a week.
But this one says Millennium Hawk. Trade right.
Same thing. It flies if you throw it through the air. Try it. That's right. Untraceable Legos. 2 words that made me laugh so hard I nearly soiled myself before my time, may I add. I actually looked into adult diapers today when I read the words untraceable Legos.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think what we need to be doing is writing and drafting legislation to address this problem of untraceable Legos.
By the way, in addition to the Legos, police found ammunition, high-capacity magazines, and 2 guns in a safe. This boy was strapped trying to hold down his Legos, boy. Pew, 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 pew. We're not talking super soakers either, Travis.
Good.
We're talking real effing guns, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. Ain't nobody stepping to me and taking this shit, boy.
He be holding down the block.
Oh, I see what you did there. See? By the way, the guns were a pump-action pistol grip shotgun with a collapsible stock loaded with a drum-style magazine and an assault rifle with a loaded high-capacity magazine inserted into it. So bang, bang, take that. You ain't taking my Legos from my house, boy.
He was too busy. He was too busy strategically sorting all of his Legos to pay attention to the tactical unit knocking on his fucking
That's
door.
right. There's a lot of this. Candygram. Candygram.
Just 1 second. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of something important. Okay, let's see. This was the, let's see. Oh, damn it. I wish these had serial numbers. Is this for,
Plot twist, we find out he was a contracted delivery driver for Amazon.
Yes, see, it all comes full circle. See?
And that's how he was stealing all of those Legos.
That's right. Damn it, see? All right. We got quite a few more stories we gotta go through here. Let's speed it up here. You ready? I just Legos.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna get a lot of emails about this now. They're gonna be like, "Why did you go on for 20 minutes about Legos?"
Yeah, and then there's gonna be other people going, "You didn't talk about it enough."
Yeah. Why didn't we hear more about the Legos? What did he have? Which ones did he have, Tim? What are they going to?
Police auctioning it off?
Yeah, where's the auction going to be? Why didn't you talk about that? Why not?
How can we start our own counterfeit ring?
You just gave me an idea to raise a lot of money in a short amount of time. We go to chicken. I'm not saying there's a connection. I'm just saying it's darn tasty. And I got a craving for chicken tonight. I feel like chicken tonight. That's a song from an old commercial. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's a joke between the two of us from earlier tonight because I happened to order chicken in. And you said my driver was going to lick just one piece of my chicken and make it a random little game between us.
I just wanted to taste your DNA.
Oh, I don't want any of it.
I'm going to turn Tim into a vegan tonight.
Yes. I'm going to want nothing but beets and green beans after this. Probably lose a whole bunch of weight. Here's the story. Filing details jail chicken smuggle caper. Oh, now if you thought licking the chicken was bad, smuggle some chicken into jail. There's only certain places a chicken can go.
Why are you walking so funny?
Who wants me to make him a wing? This is even worse. They're mango habanero wings. So imagine having to smuggle that in.
Little spicy prison pocket.
Spicy. Mango habanero wings were obtained for a Texas inmate. We go to Texas, of course, where a court filing has put some meat on the bones of the case against the corrections officer just arrested for allegedly smuggling chicken wings into a Texas lockup. According to court papers filed yesterday, a Travis County jail official was monitoring an inmate's phone calls on an unrelated incident when the man told a relative that a corrections officer had provided him with chicken wings after he sent the officer money on Cash App. Sounds like a good side hustle.
Dirty corrections officer.
Specifically, the inmate said that the officer had agreed to supply him with habanero mango chicken wings from Wingstop in return for $50.
What? You're going to risk your career, not even bringing in hard drugs or weapons, for $50 in chicken wings.
Yeah.
Wow.
A subsequent review of jail surveillance video showed a food delivery arriving at the Travis County Correctional Complex, a 2,300 inmate campus in suburban Austin. After the paper bag was run through an x-ray scanner, Amos Nyanway, all of 25 years old, picks up the bag and eats some of the wings himself. Nyanway, who was hired last year, then takes several chicken wings from the bag, places them on paper towels, and hands them to an inmate. And the inmate walks away with the chicken wings and eats them. Court filings do not identify the inmate or why an officer with the jail's Security Threat Intelligence Unit was monitoring his calls. Investigators have obtained a search warrant for Cash App data to determine the extent of Nyanway's involvement in bringing in contraband and to assist in identifying other incidents. Nyanway was busted Tuesday on a misdemeanor contraband charge, citing Texas Penal Code 38114. An arrest affidavit notes that chicken wings are not provided or authorized to be provided to inmates. By the way, Nyanway has been fired. So,
yeah, I would imagine not just fired, but actually just became an inmate there himself.
Probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wild.
Chicken wings.
That I people do dumb things, especially when their careers are involved. Like, you know, I'm no angel. I've done dumb things to find my way out of a door. Usually it involves me thinking with my other head. That finds me into dumb shit. But like, why would you risk your career in a place where you know everything is monitored?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over chicken wings and $50.
Yeah. Probably because they think they'll overlook it. He's probably thinking, "Oh, they won't bust me for chicken wings." Come on.
That's wild to me. It is absolutely wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, make it worthwhile. Like,
right.
Bring in some crack cocaine and get a couple $100,000. You know? Like, and bring them pixie sticks instead. You know, like I don't know. Like,
but no. I was sent this story a couple of times by a couple different people. By the way, if you have a story for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminal, send it to tim@darknessradio.com. We're back in Florida where a gun was fired inside a Davenport McDonald's after an argument over orders. As in the orders you put into McDonald's.
I might have seen this video.
Yeah. They threatened to attack a man who said, "We're busy. We can't take any more orders," the sheriff said. Busy enough to catch a round?
Yeah.
We go to Davenport, where a routine Sunday at a Davenport McDonald's escalated into a dangerous situation involving a gun after an argument over food orders, according to the Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, who I think is on this show once a week. It's a dangerous area. According to Sheriff Judd, the incident began when the restaurant started getting slammed with orders and culminated in 3 arrests, 1 injury, and those involved being charged. They threatened to attack a man who said, "We're busy. We can't take any more orders." And he did that because the manager told him to, Judd explained. What started as a drive-through disagreement quickly turned into face-to-face violence. The sheriff's deputies said the men involved reportedly came into the restaurant and threatened violence. One of them mentioned, "I got a switch. I got a 30 clip," Judd said. In response, McDonald's employee Juan Soto, not the baseball player, by the way, reportedly pulled a gun. The restaurant manager attempted to intervene, but the situation escalated. The McDonald's employee is armed. That's how great of an area it is. Investigators say Soto aimed his firearm at the two men who threatened him, ultimately firing and striking one of them, identified as Peter Story, in the neck. Nice shot, kid. And described the injury as minor, by the way. After the shot, Soto did not remain at the restaurant. He grabs his gun, the casing, and the projectile on the floor and flees because he's scared. I think this kid shot people before.
Yep. I mean, grabbing the casing and leaving. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. After the shot, Soto fled the scene. Again, took the shell casing. The Polk County Sheriff's Office later charged Soto with tampering with evidence, a felony for moving the shell casing. Bet you kids didn't know you could be charged with that, huh? The two men involved, Nicholas Jones and Peter Story, were charged with trespass after warning and disorderly conduct. Both have since bonded out. Legal experts say Florida's open carry laws can complicate situations like these. Local attorney Idalis Vento, which sounds like something you order at a Starbucks, said there are personal consequences with his work and legal consequences doing that. And he might have a lot open to McDonald's liability to be sued because of actions that took place on their property. Vento added that whether a business allows employees to carry firearms on site varies on an employer-by-employer basis. Again, each McDonald's is independently owned. At least I think it is in Florida. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I have seen the video of that, and what it appeared to be is that there was still an employee that was being harassed by the other two that came in, started the issue, and the employee with the firearm, from, if it's the same video I saw this morning, comes in from, it looked like around back.
Mm-hmm.
So like he came from around back and then brandishes the firearm, and one of those two tries to take it from him. And that's when he discharged it right into the neck of the guy.
Yeah.
And then they took off fleeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say based off of the body language I was seeing, and then hearing that he picked up the casing and then took off with that.
Yeah.
I 100% declareth that man has absolutely been part of criminal activity of shooting people before. Yes, most indubitably, I say, sir. Yes.
Yeah. And again, because of Florida's different laws, there's depending on the employer, there's a good chance that he might be eligible for stand your ground.
Yeah. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I'm loving it. Yeah. Next.
We're going to continue with the cheeseburger theme. And it's time now for Not Safe for Work. So the way this works, if you have kids in the room, they're already been corrupted. I don't know why you still have them in the room, but put them in a little closet somewhere, put little earmuffs on them. It's appropriate. If you have your boss in the room, put him in a little closet, put earmuffs on him. It's probably appropriate. And we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. An arrest was made in a drive-by cheeseburgering. In other words, someone done got bitch slapped with a cheeseburger. Where did it happen, you may ask? Well, there's a reason it's in Not Safe for Work territory, because it happened at the Trailer Park 6.
Yes.
That's right. An ex-employee was busted for strip club battery. It's time now for I Done Slapped a Bitch with a Cheeseburger at the strip club.
Oh, my God. I'm in love.
Here we go. A former strip club employee has been arrested for a drive-by shooting outside the Florida establishment. Well, actually, it was more of a drive-by cheeseburgering. Let me show you the bitch with the quick switch. There it is right there.
Oh, my God. He looks like he could throw a double quarter pounder at about 100 yards. Oh.
The bitch with the switch in question is 26-year-old Jordan Cotto, who showed up Friday night at Atlantis Gentlemen's Club to speak with management, but got into a verbal argument. Despite the dispute, Cotto allegedly grabbed a cheeseburger from his vehicle and threw the delicacy, striking a male victim on the shoulder and causing him bodily harm.
I mean, unless it was like a week-old burger that's like a brick at that point. Just sit in the car.
I always love when someone gets hit with food and they go, "Ow!"
It hurts so bad. You hit me with those 2 double quarter pounder patties with the little mayo and mustard and ketchup on those sesame seeds.
Here's the next line's even better. The man, however, was not seriously injured by the beef cheese projectile. Was there any doubt?
Surprisingly, that's what I always tell the ladies too.
Yeah. Baby, were you hit by my beefy cheesy projectile? By the way, if it's cheesy, I probably should have showered first.
The VA doesn't hand out penicillin anymore.
Questioned by police, Cotto reportedly confessed to the crime and showed no remorse for the incident at the Tampa area club. Yes, we are in Florida, by the way. The home of the cheeseburger drive-by. Asked for it by name. The defendant stated that he did throw a cheeseburger from his vehicle and said he would do it again. Attaboy. Yeah. No weapon was seized, by the way. The cheeseburger was. It wasn't necessarily a weapon. Cotto was arrested for battery, a misdemeanor, and booked into the county jail. He was released on his own recognizance by a judge who ordered him to have no contact with the victim, though the defendant has not been prohibited from possessing cheeseburgers. He may still buy one at his local burger establishment. Cotto was arrested last month for burglarizing his uncle's boat and stealing a firearm, which he sold to a relative for $300, probably for cheeseburger money. Prosecutors subsequently declined to pursue felony charges at that point, concluding I'm in a cheeseburger haze right now, concluding that the facts and circumstances revealed do not warrant prosecution at this time. So evidently they felt it was punishment enough to sell a firearm to his relatives for $300.
I wonder if he's the Hamburglar. If he comes driving up.
I got you.
We got to hire him as our bouncer for Trailer Park 6.
Well, yacked up. You're getting a cheeseburger to the face.
Just smack him.
Take a bitch out with a cheeseburger.
When he warns you with a grilled cheese. Just.
I think you should smack him with a White Castle slider. Because those things stink. Just right upside the head. And they're cheap. I mean, we gotta think of our overhead.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I want White Castle.
Oh God, why? No. Well, only when you're drunk. Our next story has to do with an AI image that was used in a false sex attack claim. Yes, AI has made its way to Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals. Welcome aboard. A photo of a male assailant was actually created by ChatGPT. A Florida woman contacted police earlier this month to report that a male assailant had barged into her home, knocked her to the ground, and then committed a sexual assault. While the attacker was a stranger, the woman said she was able to take a photo of the suspect while he was seated on the couch in her St. Petersburg apartment. Multiple officers and forensic technicians responded to the scene where 32-year-old mother of two, Brooke Scheinault, said the October 7th attack occurred. But a subsequent police examination of the image provided by Scheinault revealed that the photo was AI generated via ChatGPT. Additionally, the photo was found in a deleted folder dated days before she alleged the sexual battery took place. Scheinolt, and I have a picture of her here, was arrested for falsely reporting a crime. She spent a night in jail before posting $1,000 bond. Police and court documents do not include a motive for the bizarre incident. In a recent post for her Instagram page, Scheinolt noted that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month and that she had for years been in an abusive relationship. She said, quote, "He sexually assaulted me, but all I can say is I survived and I made it out," Scheinolt wrote on the page. Bizarre.
I have a lot of words for that, Tim. We know that SA is a very, very serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And every instance of cases like this take the power and the voice away from real victims.
That's true.
And it sucks. My short stint as a cop,
mm-hmm.
I can say there was at least 80 cases like this that I worked.
Yeah.
Where it was a false report. And it really takes the power away from real victims.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. All right. We've got just four more stories left. And then our palate cleanser, which I guarantee will change the way I'm going to give you guys water cooler material for tomorrow that will change the way your coworkers look at you. You will tell people about a brand new TikTok trend. You're at the forefront. I'm going to put you all at the forefront of pop culture. But it's going to change the way your friends, your colleagues look at you tomorrow. I guarantee it. All right? That's coming up in just a bit. You're going to thank me. Or you're going to make me a pariah, one or the other. Here's the headline. Turns out you shouldn't call the judge a fucking cunt.
What?
Yeah, it turns out you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do it.
I mean, yeah. No. Yeah, don't do it.
He says he didn't mean for the judge to hear the insult, but she did. And she's not amused. Here's the story. The tale of attorney discipline is one part tech failure and one part petty misogyny, and none of it's a good look. A Michigan appeals court upheld the criminal contempt filing against attorney Marshall Tauber. Decision available below for comments he made at the close of a Zoom hearing. Zoom is always a fun thing, isn't it? Judge Yasmin I. Pole, P-O-L-E. Judge Pole. No, okay, you kind of got it coming, right? But okay.
With a name like that, she was asking for it.
Ruled against Tauber's client, and at the close of the Zoom hearing, he was heard saying, "Judge, thank you, fucking cunt." Pardon my language, ladies. I would never say that. Those words would never come out of my mouth if it wasn't a direct quote from.
It would come out of mine, though, so be angry at me.
Okay, yeah, be angry at Travis. Yikes town. The trial court described the incident as follows. While the court is on the record with the Oakland County Jail still logged into the record, while the court is in its immediate sitting and view, appellant participated in willful disregard to the court's authority by rendering a gender-based slur to the court. The word which does not fairly roll off the tongue as easily as it does appellants was fucking C. That is, wow. Members of staff are also in the courtroom while Tauber's client, who the court has gone back to review this video, appears to himself be in shock that the court would be called such a thing. I think they summed that up pretty eloquently.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Yeah. According to Tauber, he believed he was no longer connected to the Zoom. He was attending the virtual hearing from his car, and the screen went black, and he mistakenly thought he was disconnected. During the contempt hearing, Tauber's attorney said he was technologically inept, and he did not intend for anyone else to hear the slur. But the appeals court said just because this happened during a virtual hearing does not preclude a finding that misconduct or insolent behavior by an attorney constitutes contempt. The appellate court also shot down the argument that Tauber's action weren't willful because they weren't uttered in frustration, or they were uttered in frustration, rather. But the term willful for purposes of criminal contempt does not require such an intention. Rather, the willful disregard consists of a statement that tends to impair the court's authority or impedes its functioning. The court continued, demeaning or belittling the trial court, particularly in front of a client, erodes the public's confidence in the judicial system. Tauber told the ABA Journal he intends to appeal the decision to the Michigan Supreme Court. His quote is, when your activities are in that gray area of the ether where the court controls when you're off the so-called air, when you are out of the court, Tauber says in an ABA Journal interview, I thought I was out of the court when I said, thank you, Your Honor. No, you idiot. There's a button. There's a button you control that you take yourself out of Zoom. So if you want to say thank you, you fucking cunt, you take and you hit disconnect, then say it. You don't wait for the court to dismiss you. You dismiss yourself and you can say all the shit you want.
I'm kind of torn here, Tim, because like there's a part of me that's like, hey, have some thicker skin. Like you're a judge, right? Have some thicker skin. Yeah, and then there's the other part of me that's like, this is the place where rules matter.
You would never say that if you were in person.
Yeah.
You would never stand in front of a judge and go, thank you, judge, you fucking cunt, and then walk away. You never do that in chambers.
Yeah.
You'd never do that in the actual court. Why would you do it on a Zoom in your own car? Because technically that's an extension of the court.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you utter those words?
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't because they're scaredy cats. And obviously he wasn't.
He's going to lose this so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tauber estimates that 6 to 8 seconds elapsed between the time he thanked the judge and when he made the remarks. It doesn't matter.
6 to 8 seconds? No.
No way. Hit that red button and disconnect yourself.
Look, I'm pretty petty sometimes, and I am a master of the fucking cunt. I am a master of it. It is a part of my vocabulary. It has been a massive part of my vocabulary for the better part of about 35 years. So I will say no one waits 6 to 8 seconds for that.
No.
That is a maybe 1 second pause at most when you drop that bomb ever. So yeah, he's a liar. Big fat liar.
Well, he's not done digging himself deeper. Are you ready for this?
Oh.
Tauber then says, they weren't directed at her. They weren't intended to be insulting to her. They were just my thought at that moment. And I didn't think I was in the courtroom. Let me give you a little bit of broadcasting advice. I'm new to swearing on mic. For 30 years in radio, I was told when this thing's live, you don't say anything you wouldn't say in front of your grandmother. Right? So up until I started and I had my own home studio, I never said a bad word in front of this thing.
Nobody ever met my grandmother. Her mom was fresh off the boat from Ireland.
Well, my grandmother was Scotch-Irish, but that didn't matter. You didn't. You were respectful at all times. You didn't say the big seven. And if you did, expect to see a hefty fine, right? And it came out of your pocket.
Oh, yeah, I suppose the FCC and all that too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You just didn't do it. All right. Speaking of don't say things in front of grandmother or children, this story's in England. We'll make this one quick. A teacher was let go for telling children about a dildo mishap during a Dickens lesson. It's kind of a funny story. A teacher's been let go after she told her pupils about the dangers of sex toys and rectal bleeding during a lesson on Charles Dickens' classic A Christmas Carol. You try to put the two together because I don't remember any of this during Dickens.
Yeah. Is she referring to the other Dickens?
No, I don't think so. 43-year-old Catherine Matthews is accused the children of colluding against her. Yes, all the children got together to try and get her fired after the allegation came to light. However, the English teacher was suspended from the Wesley School in Lancashire following a teaching regulation agency investigation. A colleague known as Witness A told the panel that a pupil said Matthews had stood up in the front of the class to speak about someone who stuck a dildo with a suction cup on the back of his bedroom door. The witness claimed Ms. Matthews said the young lad backed up on this dildo, but as his grandmother flung the door open, he was left bleeding everywhere and being a big mess. Now, a young child doesn't make that up.
Yeah, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, pretty specific and pretty graphic. Now, Witness B, who conducted the school's investigation into Miss Matthews' alleged misconduct, recorded that a pupil said she, Ms. Matthews, doesn't personally know this person, but they had a suction cup dildo he stuck on his bathroom door, put his music on blasting, and was easing the dildo onto his bum. He didn't hear Grandma come home, and she opened the door, and he panicked, and the dildo went up his bum, making him bleed and pass out. She was stood at the front of the class telling the whole class.
This is not something you share with students.
Right.
No, this is sacred stuff in the infantry, only on Thursdays.
I want to know... Maybe she mistook what day it was and that they weren't the infantry. Maybe this is a PTSD thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to know what ghost from Dickens delivered this story.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it's just a week of mental illness.
Is this the ghost of Dildo Past that showed up and decided to deliver the story?
Crazy. I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me is like the sickest thing that it could be, which is a groomer, right? Like throwing out suggestive context to children and seeing what bites. Like, yeah, that's what scares me about this story. Right. Oh.
Another student asked Ms. Matthews about orgasms and how many girls can have. To which, see, this doesn't make any sense to me. This story doesn't make sense to me. To which the teacher responded, girls can have 8 orgasms, but boys can only have 1, which is up their bum.
What?
Ms. Matthews was also accused of saying gay men were gay because they can only have orgasms up their bum, according to the pupil, who added that the conversation lasted around 25 minutes. We're supposed to be talking about Dickens, A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. And there was nothing about dildos or bum stuff in the Christmas Carol.
No.
And she totally missed the rule. As long as you're wearing socks, it isn't gay.
That's right.
And so she missed that.
Yeah, that's right. The panel heard that Matthews, who did not engage with the hearing, treated pupils more like she was their friend than her teacher. She previously said that the children had made it all up, but other teachers felt it was unlikely that they would have colluded against her in this way. The panel found that allegations were proven, and she was banned from teaching indefinitely. Well, I think she should be.
Yeah.
All right.
However, she will be a cocktail server at trailer parks.
Yes. She will be conducting story time at Trailer Park 6.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yes. Well, we'll call it cocktails with Caddy Karen.
Jesus.
At Trailer Park 6.
Horrible.
Our next story, again, a short one. He got lucky he didn't wake up. Or we didn't wake up. A naked man was caught on camera terrorizing a Pinellas Park neighborhood in Florida. Of course, we are going to Florida. A Pinellas Park neighborhood said a man who went on a late night rampage naked and destructive is lucky to be alive after neighbors said they were ready to defend their homes. More stand your ground stuff.
Yeah.
Video captured from a neighbor's backyard shows the man walking through yards and exposing himself. Or as we call it, Friday night in Florida.
Yeah. Or like a Friday morning.
I was asleep and the doorbell rang and I answered the door. Neighbor David Dale said, I opened the door and there was a guy standing there and he was stark naked. Police identified the suspect as Joshua Garrison. Neighbors told the News Channel 8 he caused significant damage to their homes and cars. There's a video on this one too. I'll post it so you can watch it. He threw a pot of plants through my truck window and tore the lights off the front of my house, Dale said. Surveillance video showed Garrison trying to get inside another home. He pulled the screen out, laid it down, and attempted to get the window open, and then he goes back here, a neighbor said. Oh, he's a looker, too. Neighbor Tim Reichman said Garrison ran into his backyard, touched himself in a sexual manner, then tried to break in. He went into my shed, grabbed an axe, and came back on my porch, Reichman said. We don't know why he didn't use it. He added that the man jumped over a 6-foot fence using a wood pile and helped himself to a drink. We see him grabbing a bottle of beer and a can of soda, Reichman said. Neighbors said the situation could have turned deadly. We're all Second Amendment people here in Pinellas Park. We will shoot you, one neighbor said. He got lucky we didn't wake up. Police said Garrison faces charges of burglary, criminal mischief, and lewd behavior. I'm going to show you a picture here, Travis. You tell me, to meth or not to meth? That's the question.
God. I'm going to say he definitely mixes a little bit of crack cocaine in with his Sonic drink.
All right.
And he imbibes, but slowly, right? He takes his time. He's just starting with it.
All right.
The reason he was saved, though, is because while he was pleasuring himself on top of the wood pile with the axe, the ghost of Christmas past was telling him not to enter the domiciles and to change his ways.
I see. That's what it was.
Charles Dickens, you saved another one.
All right, Travis, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Boy, we're going to have a long show today. Holy cow. I may have to do some editing. I'll definitely have to do some editing today. I want to thank Christopher for the story of the week, which is our last one, and then our palate cleanser. His words were, do you think we should call Shaft? As a man tosses his penis out of a car window during a car chase with police.
Whoa. Say that again. I want to make sure that I'm not delirious here.
A man tosses his penis out of a car window during a car chase with police.
Yep. Okay. I've heard it. Now I have heard everything. All right. Shit. Go ahead.
I told you, we find some good stories on this show. This is why it's one of the funniest shows in true crime podcasting.
Yeah.
A Tennessee man allegedly flung his own severed penis out of his car window during a police chase last week and said voices on the radio told him to do it in order to save the world.
What?
Let me read it again because I couldn't help but not laugh at the end of that sentence. A Tennessee man allegedly flung his own severed penis out of his car window during a police chase last week and said voices on the radio told him to do it in order to save the world. Name that drug.
Timothy, you need to rip off your penis and throw it at those pigs behind you. It is the only way to save the world.
What the fuck?
I'll give Christopher a pass on this. This is an old story, though. It's a good one, though. I wanted to read it to you, but it's an old one.
How? How did he even remove it?
Let me tell you. 39-year-old Tyson Gilbert had parked his car partially blocking the highway when police first approached him in Dowelltown. After the cops hit their lights to pull him over, he took off. The chase involved multiple police departments and 2 branches of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. At some point during the chase, he ditched his own dick out the window of his Honda Accord like a banana on a Mario Kart track. Gilbert opened the door to his vehicle where the trooper observed Gilbert was bleeding from an alleged self-inflicted wound. Gilbert shut the vehicle's door and sped away, according to a Tennessee Highway Patrol preliminary report. When I pulled up behind him and turned on my lights, he took off and refused to stop. He was all over the road the whole time. Bobby Johnson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol told Tennessee news station WJLE. He turned off on Old Liberty Road and came to a stop. He opened his door and he was naked and covered in blood. He then shut his door and kept driving. A THP spokesperson told Motherboard that they couldn't confirm the state of the man's penis or whether anyone found it on the road and took it to the hospital for him because of HIPAA privacy laws. Police deployed 2 sets of tire spikes to try to stop him, but he drove through both and kept going, eventually running on just rims. The total chase lasted for nearly 30 miles until police boxed Gilbert in. Funny, he's not going to need a box for anything now.
I now understand. I understand why he threw his member at him. You know, steel sharpens steel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Diamonds cut diamonds, right? Okay. So the only way to destroy Trooper Johnson was to throw at Johnson.
That's right. Johnson takes out Johnson. Yeah. It turns out when they boxed Gilbert in, he asked for medical treatment and was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. They did not say how he lopped off said wood.
But he did save the world.
He did save the world. He did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, voices on the radio.
Thank you. Thank you, Tyson Gilbert, for your service. This is a story from 2021, by the way. So, Christopher, next time you send me a story, check your byline. It's right there at the top, buddy. Right at the top.
I'm thankful for Christopher sending this because this was amazing. This was a special little treat.
You do have to check the byline at the top. We only do stories from the previous week. So I don't do it. Any story you hear on this program is a fresh story. Everything is from the previous week. So I don't do anything I don't do any old stories. So, yeah. All right. Your palate cleanser isn't much of a palate cleanser because we're going deep on this trap. We're going deep. Here's my aim with this, though. For my palate cleanser today with you is this. I am here to educate, enlighten, and entertain. With this story, I'm doing all three. With this story, I'm going to set you on the edge of pop culture. With this story, you're going to be able to walk into work tomorrow. You're going to be able to sit down at the water cooler, if you have one. You're going to say, gather around me, my people. Gather around me, my coworkers. Gather around me, for I am to impart wisdom upon you that may enlighten you, that may sicken you, that may open your eyes to the world, that may tell you, you know what? I'm going to avoid that particular part of my life and put it upon someone else so that I am all the wiser and will avoid certain things in this life. I may be able to spread this knowledge to my family and make them all the wiser. I may spread this to my friends and they may look upon me as a god. You ready for this knowledge, Travis?
You are speaking my language, sweet baby angel.
All right, here we go. Here's the headline. Never been the same. A woman starts wearing gloves to the gas station after seeing what a customer did to the pump. Intrigued?
I am.
All right. Here's why she started wearing gloves to the pump. A woman shared the disgusting thing she saw someone do at that pump that made her wear gloves ever since. And research is backing up her sanitation concerns. Here's what happened, Travis. She's been on the old tiki-taki, which can be a valuable resource. A TikTok user's PSA about gas pump hygiene has gone viral after she shared a disturbing encounter that changed her gas station habits forever. The video has sparked conversation about the cleanliness of public surfaces and prompted many viewers to consider their own fueling routines. TikTok user KRY at Crystal Meth.
Shut up. Shut up. No.
That's Crystal is in the name Crystal and then meth. Posted a 24-second video on Wednesday that has garnered more than 143,000 views in just one day. The clip shows her inside her car before demonstrating how she now pumps her gas while wearing latex gloves, explaining the unsanitary incident that motivated this change. Here's what she says in the video. I don't know who needs to hear this, but please start carrying gloves when you're going to the gas station. The creator then reveals what she witnessed. Are you sitting down?
I unfortunately am. Yes.
She says, I was at a gas station not long ago, and I witnessed with my own two eyes a man at the pump in front of me reaching into his pants and aggressively scratching his blank and then using that same hand to grab the pump and put it back. Her reaction was immediate and lasting. Ever since I saw that, I never have been the same. Her concerns are backed by scientific research. A major study by Kimberly-Clark Professional tested surfaces in 6 major U.S. cities and found that 71% of gas pump handles were highly contaminated with microbes associated with illness and disease. Even more alarming, research published by BusBud found gas pump handles harbor an average of 2,011,970 colony-forming units, or CFUs, per square inch, approximately 11,000 times more contaminated than a typical household toilet seat, which has only 172 CFUs per square inch.
I could believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Healthcare workers, by the way, validate this gas station sanitation concern. The video struck a particular chord with healthcare professionals who frequently see the consequences of poor hygiene practices. User Vanessa, who identified herself as a healthcare worker, left one of the most liked comments. I'll tell you right now, I work in healthcare. People do not wash their hands nearly enough, she writes. I will never pump gas without a glove or wipe. And a reminder, wash your hands often, please. I'm begging. The creator responded by sharing her own observations from working in finance. She writes, I work in finance, and every time I handle cash, then wash my hands, the water runs gray in the sink, which is crazy because neither the money or my hands look dirty to begin with. But yes, so important to wash your hands often, and I wish people cared more to do it. 2 things I've imparted on you today. 2 things. Money and gas pump handles.
I mean, I'm the kind of guy that would drop a fucking lemon poppy seed pound cake into a pile of fucking fire ants and then blow on it and then eat it, right? And I haven't died. I pump gas all the time with no gloves, and I haven't gotten seriously sick or die. I would eat a lemon poppy seed pound cake off of a stripper's butthole and not die. You know? Why are they so scared? Quit being scared. Pump your gas. Be an adult. Wash your hands when you get home. Don't lick your fingers when you get done pumping gas. I don't know, Tim.
Current and former gas station workers also chimed in with their perspectives. A user identifying as a cashier at a gas station wrote, I'm a cashier at a gas station. I can literally feel when my hands are dirty. I hate it. Would you like to know why gas pumps spread more disease than anything else?
Even more than our friends on Lake Street.
Wow. I won't read the one little bit in here about the guy who actually took the nozzle of the gas pump and played with his ass with it. There's that in this story. When he thought nobody was looking.
Yeah.
But that's shocking.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me, though. I mean, people do weird things with their
shock
all the
you.
time. No. Like, okay, so we talking about the tiki-talkies, right?
Yeah.
There's a guy on TikTok. I love him. I can't remember his name right now. But, like, when you see him, you know, and you're like, oh, yep, that's him. And it's always like, it starts off with somebody like grabbing something off of a shelf at like a Dollar Tree or something, right? Like, let's say it's like a ceramic Christmas tree, right? And they're like, ooh, and they show it into the camera. Then it's this like salt and pepper, like silver fox, handsome fucking EMS guy, right? He's this paramedic. And he just goes to the camera and he's like, no. Like, it doesn't belong in your butt. Stop, whatever it is you're doing. And he's got hundreds of thousands of videos of these kind of things because it's a reality. It happens every day. You talk to anybody in an ER, any nurse, right? Any cop, any firefighter, any paramedic, and they will tell you the most common thing that happens other than I've only had 2 drinks, officer, and they're drunk, right? No. I slipped and fell on it in the shower. Really? The gerbil? Really? There was a gerbil in your shower? Really? Oh, okay. That whole Head and Shoulders shampoo bottle somehow found its way up there. Oh, what was a Hot Wheels track doing in the shower? Right? Like
one more thing. And then I'll leave it alone. I know you're trying to debunk this whole thing, but one more thing. The health concerns weren't purely theoretical. One user on the Tiki-Taki shared a recent real-world consequence. They write, a coworker of mine literally just pinched his finger on a gas pump a few weeks ago. Now is being treated for cellulitis, which I've had, which is caused by a bacterial infection. Just pinched it, pink, right in the gas pump. Now could potentially lose a finger because of that gas pump.
He wasn't thinking. If he pinched his finger and had an open wound and all that bacteria was there, he should have pumped that gas on it and sterilized that wound. I don't know. Think smarter.
Jeez. All right. That's it for that story. So, yeah, gloves or, you know what? Or hand sanitizer. Bring hand sanitizer with you.
Yeah.
When you're,
yeah. Baby wipes,
hand sanitizer. Have something with you when you pump your gas. But boom, just gave you some knowledge for your palate cleanser for today.
Now, DoorDash.
What about them?
Delivery drivers of all sorts. They're in their vehicles. They're pumping gas, handing you your food. Bomb.
You don't still wipe down your bags after No, seriously, I do.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no, I raw dog life, bro. I ain't scared. Hey, if ISIS and the Taliban didn't get me in the desert, bro, I'm sure my Popeyes is gonna be okay, you know?
You're not as immunocompromised as I am, my friend. There's a reason why. It's the reason why I stay as healthy as I do.
Inshallah.
All right, what have you got going on in your world?
I mean, other than just scrolling on the Tiki-Takis and, doing my part as a comedic value of making AI videos of Paranormal Cop Combat Rev, or, contributing to the the liking, subscribing, and sharing of camel toes and nipples on TikTok, or making your listeners laugh and chuckle and or throw things at its media device of choice. That's about it, Tim. I live a boring life.
Where can people find these videos?
Well, if you go on TikTok and type in yoga girls, you can. Oh, no. The ones with the AI. Okay. Yeah. Type in Combat Rev, or I think my original handle was Oprah Winfrey 6. So either one would bring you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Tomorrow, the big program, Supernatural News. And then on Thursday, we have a famous psychic you've seen on a very popular television show, a very popular ghost hunting television show, who's going to be with us, and we're going to be talking haunted dolls. How do you like that? How's that for a trifecta?
I love it, Tim. A little bit of a throwback on an episode about throwbacks.
Yeah.
Do they have opposable thumbs?
It has nothing to do with that show. But that's coming up on Thursday. So that's the week for you. But Travis, thank you so much for joining me today.
It was my pleasure, Tim.
And I want to remind you guys about Thien Ho's book. Of course, it has to do with the Golden State Killer. It's available in the description of this program. I want you to go out and get it. Incredibly interesting book. Incredibly fascinating. Gives you the entire breakdown from beginning to end of the prosecution of the Golden State Killer, what this maniac was all about. It gives you the background about the victims, each and every one of these cases. It gives you the brutal description, not only of the people who were killed, but also the people who survived. It gives you backgrounds on the people who showed up day after day in the courtroom as well. Again, one of the most fascinating books I think I've ever read about true crime, and I was honored to do that interview today. So check out the book in the description of this program. All right, that'll do it for today. We'll check you tomorrow for Supernatural News. For Travis Thorpe, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.